right, everyone, we need to talk about something that's very serious. Los Angeles Phil and New York Phil are no longer going to be doing their season, which is a 2020-2021 season. This is a huge deal for American orchestras as people during the COVID-19 pandemic are trying to figure out what to do in the classical music world and how to make a living, how to earn money for their organizations, and even for independent artists. So in this video, I'm going to break down what's happening with these two orchestras and then maybe start a conversation in the comments down below on YouTube. There, my name is Eric. I'm a violinist. Thanks for coming across this channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notifications for when new videos come out. It also helps me as a content creator to provide more videos for you. So you know what? I'm torn. Of course, there are so many things that are happening in the world. It just feels like we can't catch a break. And then I hear that LA Phil and New York Phil will not have their seasons this year. There are some signs of what is going to happen next year, and it's going to be in big trouble. There are also other orchestras in the US that are considered the Big Five, like Philly Orchestra and Chicago Symphony Orchestra. For example, Chicago Symphony released something called CSO.TV, which is kind of similar to what Berlin Philharmonic is already doing with Digital Concert Hall, which is another way to kind of get students, teachers, music lovers into the digital concert hall for Chicago Symphony to help provide some kind of income revenue stream for the orchestra and for the musicians. It's kind of crazy. I feel like even Chicago Symphony can't catch a break. They had a 7-week-long strike last year, and then they're dealing with the pandemic this season. Just feel like that orchestra just can't catch a break. So let's break down the New York Phil situation. So originally, like the Met Opera and the New York Phil were going to test out having larger gatherings in David Geffen Hall in the Lincoln Center in New York City, and that's no longer happening. Right now in the United States, we're going to be experiencing probably a second wave, although, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an analyst in terms of the coronavirus. I just pick up what I see on the news daily. So as of this moment of this taping, of this recording, right now there are cases going up. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon, especially now that we're in flu season and trying to figure out some ways to create a safe environment for people to come back into the concert hall. There's a very big problem, however, with the LA Phil and the New York Phil. The problem with classical music, which is a big problem that we've been experiencing for a very long time, for generations, is because the demographic is above the age of like 45 and 50, which is a very vulnerable age group for people to contract coronavirus, especially even with all the social distancing measures in place and trying to get the orchestras to convince the audience goers to buy tickets or subscriptions to go to the concerts. It's a very tough sell at this point because of that demographic. For the New York Phil situation, if you bought a subscription for the 2020-2021 season, New York Phil is allowing you to either refund the tickets, or you can keep those subscriptions for the next season to kind of help create that income revenue for the orchestra, but also to kind of help keep the musicians employed and all the staff, administrative staff, employed during this really difficult time. I'm looking at these two orchestras, and there are a couple lessons that we all need to learn from. Number one is that if you're like a student who is in conservatory or music school, just because you get an orchestra job doesn't necessarily mean you have a job security. Yes, you might have a salary, but that doesn't guarantee your job security, especially in a pandemic like this one. And nobody could have predicted this. But that just goes to show that, like, what I'm trying to preach on the Violin podcast, as you see on my hat here, and in my private lessons with my students, is that you can create your own opportunities during this time. If you have a message and if you have a niche that you really believe in, then everything kind of takes care of itself. And this just goes to show that anybody can make it in the world of the internet. And again, this is kind of an important thing to realize, especially with our demographic for in-person concerts over the age of 50. Our job as musicians is to connect with all kinds of people, no matter what age group, whether they're young kids, whether they're between the ages of 10 to 35. We have to make sure that we're catering music to all age groups. So how do we do that as musicians? I think part of the reason is make sure you have a very clear mission. Of course, I think that despite being Beethoven's 250th anniversary, I don't know if more Beethoven is going to do the job to help create more revenue for the orchestras and also more interest for the audience members. We could argue that Beethoven's one of the greatest composers who ever lived. Ludwig we're all grateful for Ludwig. However, if we want to create relevancy in our society, I think new music is the absolute key. This also goes to like a conversation of copyright and commissioning new works and commissioning composers and what their fees are, what their prices are, royalties. These are all like very, very big conversations. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of orchestras tend to, purchase sheet music to buy the performing rights to be able to record it, because you can finally like record a piece of music and not have to pay the rights to it. So I think this is a much larger conversation than the orchestra's kind of going out of business per se. You have to kind of create more relevancy in our American society, at least. You have to create more music that's relevant to our times. It'd be very, very interesting to see orchestras like Philadelphia Orchestra. I see Philadelphia doing this, that you can incorporate more like African American composers, or even African American living composers, not just the ones that just died within the last century. Create opportunities, business opportunities for those kinds of people. So is that an idea? You never know, but I'm interested to know what your ideas are in the comments section to kind of create more relevancy in classical music. And that is going to be a major topic within the next year and a half, as orchestras struggle to kind of get the audience in. I think it's going to be a lot more new music related. I believe that should be the case because, just because of the times that we're living in. Anyways, what do you think of this cancellation of Los Angeles Phil and New York Phil? These are, two big orchestras. Two of them are in the Big Five, what we call Big Five orchestras. And I'm curious to know what your opinion is. So leave comments down below and what we should do together as a classical music community to create more relevance in our society. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications, and also hit the like button. It means the world to me that you come across this channel, you watch this video, and by subscribing and hitting the bell notifications, you get notified whenever I create videos. And I also want to make more content that is free for you. So I want to create more value to this community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.